What if I told you the UFC's most explosive athlete was forged in the heart of Cuba, sharpened on Olympic mats, and unleashed in the octagon as the Cuban Superman? Yoel Romero's journey from Havana's wrestling gyms to UFC stardom is a story of grit, faith, and jaw-dropping athleticism. Today, we dive deep into the origins and rise of one of MMA's most feared and respected warriors. If you love incredible fight stories, hit that like button, subscribe, and smash the bell so you never miss an episode. Early life in Cuba. Yoel Romero's story begins in the vibrant streets of Pinar del Rio, Cuba, a place where sports aren't just a pastime, they're a way of life. Born into a humble family, Romero grew up surrounded by athletic ambition. His father was a renowned boxer, and from a young age, Yoel was drawn to the intensity and discipline of combat sports. But it wasn't boxing that captured his heart, it was wrestling. As a boy, Romero's raw talent was obvious. Coaches at local gyms quickly noticed his uncanny strength and agility. He was different, one Cuban coach recalled. He had this fire in his eyes, a hunger to be the best. By his teenage years, Yoel was dominating national junior tournaments, earning a reputation for his relentless work ethic and explosive style. In Cuba, wrestling is more than a sport, it's a national treasure. The country's rigorous sports schools are legendary, and only the elite make it through. Yoel himself once said, "They turned you into a machine. You have to become a machine, but it's not only a machine in the fight. No, a machine in your life." Joe Rogan has marveled at Romero's physical gifts, saying, "Yoel Romero would look so big at 185 pounds. You're like, how is that 185 pounds? How is that even possible?" He looks like a heavyweight. This relentless drive paid off. By his late teens, Yoel was already a national champion, setting the stage for his ascent to the world's biggest wrestling stages. The foundation was set: discipline, resilience, and a Cuban fighting spirit that would soon shock the world. Olympic glory and defection. Yoel Romero's rise through the Cuban wrestling ranks was nothing short of meteoric. By the late 1990s, he was a fixture on the national team, training at the legendary Cerro Pelado facility, where Cuba's best are forged. The pressure was immense, but so was Romero's determination. "Yoel was a monster in the wrestling room," said one former teammate. "He trained like he was possessed." All that hard work paid off at the 2000 Sydney Olympics. Romero stormed through the competition, displaying a blend of speed, power, and technique that left even seasoned observers in awe. He clinched the silver medal, standing proudly on the podium as Cuba's flag was raised. Joe Rogan once said, "He's the freakiest of the freaks in terms of athletic freaks. Out of everybody that I've trained with, I've never felt someone denser." But behind the glory, life in Cuba was complicated. The country's strict regime meant limited freedom, and the rewards for Olympic success were modest compared to the sacrifices. Romero began to dream of something more, a life where his talent could truly shine, unshackled by politics. The decision to defect wasn't easy. It meant leaving behind family and the only home he'd ever known. Romero has said, "It's never going to stop hurting. It's always going to hurt." Yet he was determined. "I've taken incredible risks to get here, gambled on myself, convinced I'd make it." In a daring move during a wrestling tournament in Germany, he slipped away from the Cuban delegation, risking everything for a shot at freedom. Dana White summed it up best. "Yoel's story is wild. The guy left everything behind to chase greatness. That takes guts." With nothing but his faith and his fighting spirit, Romero set out to conquer a new world, one that would soon know him as the Cuban Superman. Section 3. Entering MMA and UFC debut. After defecting from Cuba, Yoel Romero found himself in a new world, one where wrestling glory didn't pay the bills, and every day was a fight for survival. But Romero was never one to back down from a challenge. Inspired by legends like Dan Henderson and Randy Couture, he set his sights on the fast-growing sport of mixed martial arts. Transitioning from wrestling to MMA wasn't easy. Romero had to learn striking, submissions, and the art of cage fighting. He started his pro career in Europe, racking up wins with his trademark explosiveness. Joe Rogan put it perfectly. He didn't even start in the UFC until he was 36, and he doesn't lift weights. That blew me away. Romero's early MMA journey wasn't without setbacks. He suffered a devastating knockout loss in 2011, but true to form, he came back stronger. His resilience and highlight reel finishes caught the attention of UFC scouts, and in 2013, he signed with the world's premier MMA organization. Dana White recalled, "When we brought Yoel in, we knew we had something special. He was already an Olympic silver medalist, but the way he could finish fights, man, that's what fans want to see." Romero made his UFC debut at UFC Fight Night 31, delivering a flying knee knockout that instantly put the division on notice. His combination of wrestling pedigree and jaw-dropping athleticism made him an instant fan favorite. As the octagon doors closed behind him, it was clear the Cuban Superman had arrived, and he was ready to shake up the middleweight division. UFC rise and iconic moments. Once Yoel Romero set foot in the UFC, it didn't take long for him to become a human highlight reel. His blend of Olympic wrestling and explosive knockout power made every fight must-see TV. Fans and fighters alike were in awe of his athleticism. Joe Rogan famously said, "His flying knee knockout of Chris Weidman's also one of the greatest of all time. His debut UFC, he gets a flying knockout. He learned this technique 2 weeks before." Romero's UFC run is packed with unforgettable moments. Who can forget his flying knee knockout of Lyoto Machida, or the thunderous finish of Chris Weidman at UFC 205, where Romero launched himself into the air and landed a knee so brutal, it instantly went viral. Dana White told reporters, "He's one of the most dangerous people on the planet. No one wants to fight him, and for good reason." But it wasn't just the knockouts, it was the drama. Romero's rivalry with Robert Whittaker produced two of the most intense middleweight bouts in UFC history, both going the distance and leaving fans breathless. Whittaker himself said, "He's so tough. I think if you fight a 5-round war with Yoel Romero, you deserve a medal of your own." His war with Paulo Costa was an instant classic, with both men trading bombs and refusing to back down. Even in defeat, Romero's stock only seemed to rise. He was never outclassed, never broken. What set Romero apart was his unpredictability. He could go from patient and calculating to explosive and dangerous in a split second. Fighters would spend rounds trying to solve his puzzle, only to get caught by a sudden burst of violence. Romero's UFC legacy is one of jaw-dropping highlights, unforgettable battles, and a reputation as one of the most feared men to ever step into the octagon. Conclusion. From the wrestling mats of Cuba to the bright lights of the UFC, Yoel Romero's journey is the stuff of legend. His story is a testament to resilience, faith, and the pursuit of greatness against all odds. Whether you know him as the Cuban Superman, or simply as one of the most explosive fighters in MMA history, Romero's legacy is undeniable. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your favorite Yoel Romero moment in the comments below. Thanks for watching.